the most shambolic World Cup of them all, in an admittedly crowded field, was undoubtedly the 1950 tournament in Brazil. Held in a fragile post-war landscape and hit by the late withdrawals of India, France, and Scotland, the 13 teams who eventually qualified, some by default, were arranged into 2 groups of 4, 1 group of 3 and 1 group of 2, consisting of a single game, Uruguay 8-0 Bolivia. Facilities were basic, the schedule deeply unfair, the logistics a nightmare, and most amusingly of all at one game, Switzerland and Mexico, to their mutual befuddlement, both turned up wearing red shirts. So let's not pretend for a second that the World Cup has always been the apex of global sporting competition. Indeed, the tale of 1950 is a timely reminder that for all the apocalyptic scale and branded bombast of the modern World Cup, for most of its history it has been just as frequently defined by ineptitude and fuss. A police dog invading the pitch during Brazil v England in 1962. The goalposts collapsing during Mexico v Bulgaria in 1994. Graham Poll handing out 3 yellow cards in 2006. In a way, the embarrassing VAR cock-up, that we all know, with a queasy knot of certainty in the pit of our stomachs, is definitely going to happen at some point during the next 5 weeks, will merely be following in a grand and gilded tradition of World Cup slapstick. All of which is a rather roundabout way of puncturing one of the more tenacious fallacies surrounding the World Cup, which is that it is the pinnacle of our sport, the summit of the game, the apex of achievement, the finest football has to offer. In terms of size, scope and stage, there's probably some truth to that. But as the world sits down on Thursday afternoon to watch Russia v Saudi Arabia El Clasico, they're already calling it, in the tournament's opening game. You suspect a fair proportion of the audience will be wondering whether a game between the 70th and 65th best teams in the world can really be described as the pinnacle of anything. Coach Stanislav Cherchev, star player. Fyodor Smolov, World Cup best. First round 1994, 2002, 2014, Soviet Union finished 4th in 1966, Russia qualified automatically as hosts and will be desperate to improve their poor recent record at major tournaments. They have not won a match since Euro 2012 and, since the breakup of the Soviet Union, have not progressed from the World Cup group stage. Coach Edgardo Bausa, star player. Mohamed Al-Salawi, World Cup best. Second round 1994. After qualifying for 4 consecutive tournaments between 1994 and 2006, Saudi Arabia missed out in 2010 and 2014 but are back after finishing ahead of Australia in their qualifying group. Coach Hector Cooper, star player. Mohamed Salah, World Cup best. First round 1934, 1990. Egypt will make only their 3rd appearance at a World Cup finals and their first since 1990 after booking their place in Russia with victory over Congo. Runners-up to Cameroon in this year's African Nations Cup. Coach Oscar Tabarez, star player. Luis Suarez, World Cup best. Winners 1930, 1950. Uruguay's last World Cup campaign was overshadowed by Suarez's bite on Giorgio Chiellini and expulsion from the tournament, but they qualified impressively for Russia and possess undoubted firepower. Coach Fernando Santos, star player. Cristiano Ronaldo World Cup Best. Third place 1966 Portugal enjoyed a real battle with Switzerland for automatic qualification but came out on top. Looking to continue their unbeaten run at tournaments after winning their first major title at Euro 2016. Coach. Hulan Lopetegi Star Player. Isco World Cup Best. Winners 2010. The previously all-conquering Spanish suffered the ignominy of group stage exits at the 2014 World Cup and 2016 European Championship. The squad has seen evolution rather than revolution. Coach. Hervé Renard Star Player. Mudi Benatia World Cup Best. Second round 1986 Well-travelled coach Renard will have relished beating his former employers Ivory Coast to top spot in a tough qualifying group. The North Africans are back at the finals for the first time since 1998. Coach. Carlos Queiroz Star Player. Sadar Azmoun World Cup Best. First round 1978, 1998, 2006, 2014. This will be Iran's fourth appearance from the last 6 World Cup finals, but their only victory came against the USA in 1998. Won their final qualifying group ahead of South Korea. Coach. Didier Deschamps Star Player. Antoine Griezmann World Cup Best. Winners 1998 knocked out in the quarter-finals in 2014, France have built a hugely impressive squad and will hope to make up for their near miss on home soil in Euro 2016, when they lost in the final to Portugal. Coach. NA Star Player. Aaron Moy World Cup Best. Second round 2006 completing a quintet of qualifiers from the Asian groups, Australia conquered Honduras over 2 playoff legs. Were pointless at Brazil 2014 and long-serving talisman Tim Cahill is on the wane. Coach. Ricardo Gareca Star Player. Jefferson Farfan World Cup Best. Quarter-finals 1970 will be appearing at their first World Cup since 1982 after they beat New Zealand 2-0 on aggregate in the playoffs. Coach. Age Haurida Star Player. Christian Eriksen World Cup Best. Quarter-finals 1998 after missing out in 2014. Eriksen propelled Denmark back to the World Cup finals with a hat-trick in their playoff victory over the Republic of Ireland. The Danes failed to get out of their group on their last appearance in 2010. Coach. Jorge Sampaoli Star Player. Lionel Messi World Cup Best. Winners 1978, 1986. A nervy qualification campaign saw one of world football's great powers book their place at the last opportunity with victory over Ecuador, but the losing finalists in 2014 will be looking to go one better. Coach. Jaime Hallgrimsson Star Player. Gylfi Sigurðsson World Cup Best. Debut. The smallest nation by population ever to qualify for the World Cup finals, Iceland followed up their Euro 2016 heroics by topping a group featuring Croatia, Ukraine, and Turkey. Coach. Zlatko Dalic Star Player. Luka Modric World Cup Best. Third place 1998. Ivan Rakitic, Luka Modric and Ivan Perisic make for one of the best creative midfields in the tournament, but they have failed to make it out of their group on their last 3 appearances since reaching the semi-finals at France 98. Coach. Salisu Yusuf Star Player. Victor Moses World Cup Best. second rounds 1994, 1998, 2014. A very impressive qualifying campaign booked Nigeria's place in Russia. The Super Eagles have only missed one of the last 7 tournaments, but 2014's victory over Bosnia-Herzegovina was their first since 1998. Coach. Type star player. Name our World Cup best. Winners 1958, 1962, 1970, 1994, 2002. The 5-time champions were the first team other than hosts Russia to qualify for the tournament after a very impressive campaign. Brazil have not made a World Cup final since their last title in 2002. Coach. Vladimir Petkovic. Star player. Cherdon Shaqiri. World Cup best. Quarterfinals 1934, 1938, 1954 qualified for their 4th straight World Cup by beating Northern Ireland in a play-off via a controversial penalty. They have made it out of their group in 2 of the previous 3, and that will be the minimum aim this time around. Coach. Oscar Ramirez. Star player. Keylor Navas. World Cup best. Quarterfinals 2014 finished second in CONCACAF qualifying, with the highlight being a 4-0 victory over the United States. Will be hard pushed to match their 2014 performance, when they beat Italy, Uruguay and Greece before losing to Holland on penalties. Coach. Mladen Krstajic, caretaker. Star player. Nemanja Matic. World Cup best. First round 2010, Yugoslavia finished 4th in 1930 and 1962. Serbia and Montenegro reached the second round in 1998, qualifying for a first major tournament since the 2010 World Cup was not enough to save manager Slavoljub Muslin from the sack. Finished top of a group featuring the Republic of Ireland and Wales. Coach. Joachim Low. Star player. Toni Kroos. World Cup best. Winners 2014, West Germany were champions in 1954, 1974 and 1990, the reigning champions qualified in style, winning all 10 of their games, scoring 43 goals and conceding only 4. Their golden generation is aging but remains a force and has been enhanced by young blood. Coach. Juan Carlos Osorio. Star player. Javier Hernandez. World Cup best. Quarterfinals 1970, 1986. Mexico are traditionally the strongest team in the CONCACAF region and again qualified comfortably. They have reached the second round at the last 6 tournaments without once going further. Coach. Janu Andersson. Star player. Andreas Gronqvist. World Cup best. Runners-up 1958. They may be missing Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but Sweden qualified for their first World Cup since 2006 with a playoff win over 4-time champions Italy. They also finished above Holland in a tough qualifying group which was headed by France. Coach. Shin Tae-yong. Star player. Son Heung-min. World Cup best. 4th place 2002. South Korea qualified for their 9th consecutive World Cup finals despite an indifferent campaign. They have only won 2 matches since finishing 4th as co-hosts in 2002. Coach. Roberto Martinez. Star player. Kevin De Bruyne. World Cup best. 4th place 1986. Unbeaten in qualifying, Belgium's hugely talented squad will be hoping to build on their quarter-final appearance 4 years ago, having reached the same stage at Euro 2016. Coach: Hernan Dario Gomez. Star player: Gabriel Torres. World Cup best. Debut: Panama have been edging closer to reaching the World Cup finals for the first time in recent tournaments and crossed the line this time thanks to a last-gasp 2-1 victory over Costa Rica in their final qualifier. Coach: Nabil Maoul. Star player: Wabi Kazi. World Cup best. Group stage: 1978, 1998, 2002, 2006. After appearing at 3 consecutive finals without winning a single group game, Tunisia missed the last 2 editions. Unbeaten in qualifying, they defeated Democratic Republic of the Congo to Russia by a point, with a last-round draw against Libya proving enough for a squad comprised largely of Tunisia-based players. Coach: Gareth Southgate. Star player: Harry Kane. World Cup best. Winners: 1966. A comfortable qualification campaign did nothing to boost optimism for England's chances in Russia. A first major tournament in charge for Southgate, with the Three Lions having failed to reach the quarter-finals at the last 2 World Cups. Coach: Adam Walker. Star player: Robert Lewandowski. World Cup best. Third place: 1974, 1982. Poland are back at the World Cup finals for the first time since 2006 after comfortably topping their qualifying group. The last time they progressed beyond the group stages was 1986. Coach: Aliou Cisse. Star player: Sadio Mane. World Cup best. Quarter-final: 2002. The surprise package at the 2002 World Cup, they memorably beat hosts France. Senegal missed 3 editions of the tournament before securing their return by beating South Africa in a replayed group match. The original result was annulled after referee Joseph Lamptey was expelled by FIFA. Coach: Jose Pekerman. Star player: Radamel Falcao. World Cup best. Quarter-finals: 2014. Colombia's star has waned a little since their brilliant showing in 2014, when they reached the last 8 and were narrowly and controversially beaten by Brazil. Finished 4th in South American qualifying. Coach: Vahid Halilhodzic. Star player: Shinji Kagawa. World Cup best. Second round: 2002, 2010 will be appearing at their 6th consecutive World Cup finals after winning their qualification group. Did not win any of their 3 group games at the 2014 tournament. It wasn't always this way, of course. To those who came of age during the tournament's golden era, between around 1970 and 1990, the primacy of the World Cup was taken almost as an article of faith. For 4 weeks every 4 years, the World Cup was where the game congregated, not merely in celebration, but in a spirit of growth and discovery. The great teams, Pelé's Brazil, Cruyff's Holland, Beckenbauer's West Germany, played a level of football far surpassing anything on offer in the club game at the time. As recently as the early 1990s, Arrigo Sacchi was arguing that no club team would ever attain the level of the best international sides. Why talented World Cup managers are now a dying breed. Time, and the unfettered rise of post-1990 global capitalism, have proven Sacchi wrong. In the same way that the biggest corporations have master financial, political and cultural power outstripping that of most medium-sized nations, football's superclubs have been able to arm themselves on a multinational scale. to an extent that no single country can compete with on its own. The death of international football can easily be overstated, just ask Iceland, Peru or Egypt, but at its very highest level, it has begun to occupy a curious recess just below the summit of the game where superstars rub shoulders with some extremely ordinary footballers. A place where Eder can score the winning goal in a European Championship final, while Cristiano Ronaldo watches hungrily from the sidelines, trying to remember his name. And so while the World Cup still boasts most of the world's elite players, there are also some notable omissions. Alexis Sanchez, Gareth Bale, Jan Oblak, Marco Verratti, Leroy Sane, David Alaba, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mauro Icardi and Arjen Robben are all missing for some reason or other. In fact, if you take 442 magazine's most recent, and naturally, subjective, list of the world's 100 best footballers, just 69 will be playing in Russia this summer, as opposed to 95 who featured in this season's Champions League group stages. With coaches, the gulf is even more pronounced. Just 3 of 32 World Cup coaches, Jorge Sampaoli of Argentina, Age Harido of Denmark and Julen Lopetegui of Spain, have managed in the Champions League in the last 5 seasons. But it's not just about personnel. The one big advantage that club sides have over international teams isn't money or talent, but time. Time to train together, time to work on skills and strategies, time to bond and cohere. Time to scout the best players and staff, to hone your analysis and sports science, to find out what works and what doesn't. International teams, by contrast, are cursed by their lack of meaningful preparation, which is why a well-drilled underdog like Iceland or Costa Rica can make up far more ground on the competition than their club equivalent. The great teams, such as Cruyff's Holland, played a level of football far surpassing anything on offer in the club game at the time, Getty. And of course, some of this has occurred by choice. Were World Cup qualification based solely on ranking rather than confederation, 27 of the 32 teams would come from Europe or South America. Instead, FIFA's determination to globalize the game means some of the biggest nations miss out, 4 of the world's top 20 this time. The proposed increase to 48 teams from 2022 onwards will only accelerate this trend. It's a trade-off, and some would argue an entirely laudable one, given football's historical power imbalances. But it does also occasionally make for Gigi Buffon sitting at home watching Tunisia v Panama through gritted teeth. Look, obviously the World Cup will still be great. The stakes and the spectacle, the drama and the intrigue, the volcano of national fervor and the caprice of knockout football, will see to that. And as much as we like to think we know about the game, there will be players over the next month who will delight and enthrall us for the first time, and whose lives will be changed forever in the process. The stakes and the spectacle, the drama and the intrigue, the volcano of national fervor and the caprice of knockout football will ensure the World Cup remains an exciting affair, Getty. In a sense, this remains the single most compelling element of the World Cup, that frisson of the unknown, that sense of a golden thread linking the first pre-war pioneers, to your parents and grandparents watching Rivellino on a grainy color telly, to the excitable hordes packing the bars of Bogota and the cafes of Cairo and the pubs of Portsmouth, to you, sitting at home in your sweatpants, watching Luka Modric with a pizza on your lap. Best of all, they may even wear different colored shirts this time. It's the little things. Follow the Independent Sport on Instagram here, for all of the best images, videos and stories from around the sporting world.